A change in 3I/Atlas has been confirmed, okay? Avi Loeb has already written an article about this. This is the most perilous moment for 3I/Atlas. What you are seeing is this change that was confirmed in 3I/Atlas. And they're already talking about this. If you haven't seen it, you will soon see several posts across the internet talking about a confirmed maneuver in 3I/Atlas. We are going to clarify what is happening and what might also be happening regarding this interstellar visitor 3I/Atlas. That's all we needed to. It wasn't just all we needed, because check this out, man. Look at the size of this solar bazooka shot, folks. And it will hit 3I/Atlas, okay? What you are seeing. You see this circle here? This circle is the sun. Here it is eclipsed, okay, by CCR1, which is this new coronagraph that observes solar activity. And here we have a forced eclipse on the sun. For what? To see the explosions that produce coronal mass ejections, which release solar plasma into space. Because when this comes in the direction of Earth, it is quite dangerous. There was a big explosion on the sun, as you are seeing. Fortunately, it won't hit Earth. However, I have two pieces of news, folks. The first is that it will hit 3I/Atlas. It will be a very strong impact on this interstellar visitor 3I/Atlas. The second piece of news is that this active region responsible for this solar bazooka shot will become visible to Earth again. It did a Schwarzenegger. I'll be back. I will return. I'll be back. Folks, what is happening? Should we run for the hills? As if that weren't enough, after many years of no one touching it, the protocol for what humanity should do in case of confirmed extraterrestrial intelligence was changed. Folks, look at how they changed the protocol at just the right time. I mean, decades passed, nobody touched it. Now they went and changed it after a long time of no one touching it, no one talking about it. It even happened. Let's start the video with this. Tell me if it's just a coincidence. Leave what you think. Is it a coincidence? Leave it in the comments. One more thing, because today's breaking news is complete. High Rise talked about 3I/Atlas. At least they mentioned the name 3I/Atlas, okay? But what are they saying here? Just to tell you. High Rise? Reminder, why is High Rise so important? High Rise, folks, is an instrument aboard a spacecraft orbiting Mars, which is the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. And it managed to capture the best image of 3I/Atlas of this interstellar visitor. It showed this image now that we don't know exactly what it is. Some say it's a comet. In fact, the great scientific consensus is that it is a comet. I want to know this, but it's a comet that has strange material that doesn't look natural, several anomalies. The Harvard scientist Avi Loeb is talking about the possibility, which is a very considerable possibility, of it being an alien spacecraft. And so, okay, it made a low pass with Mars and High Rise. This camera aboard the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter managed to get the best image. Did it release it? No, but that's what I wanted to know now. So it got it, but didn't show it, and now it commented after almost a month of getting this image. Everyone is demanding it so much because, look, High Rise is there every day, all the time, sharing the photo of the day, the best photos taken, etc., which in this case is all from Mars, right? And everyone here keeps demanding it all the time. Let's see their latest post here. Look, in this latest one. No, this is a pinned one. Is this High Rise page appearing? It looks like that meme, you know? Never even saw it. The comment wasn't deleted. It was full of comments here asking, look, on this latest post, 5 hours ago, it was full of comments asking for an image of 3I/Atlas. Look, there are no comments. They were deleted. I've never seen that happen. Wait a minute. Now it got weird. But seriously, folks, I had just seen it. They deleted the comments asking for the image. They closed for comments, I think, because people are pestering them so much. Look here, look, how many hours ago is this one? Wait, let me see. This is from October 21st. Look, comment. Yes, but you should show 3I/Atlas. Everyone is asking for a photo of 3I/Atlas. And there was a deluge of comments on the latest posts. They are deleting them. I just confirmed it here with you. Okay, but at the very least, they are blocking them. No, they're deleting them because they were there. I saw them. They removed the comments that were there. Anyway, they went and now said, note, any image of Comet 3I Atlas is considered in this wide news, meaning major news from NASA. Uh, they passed the buck to NASA. So they passed the buck to NASA because the University of Arizona operates this, okay? Just a matter of we operate it, but they're the ones who give the orders. It's their thing. No, 3I Atlas, in this case, is considered big news for NASA due to the government shutdown there, that impasse they're having there in the United States government. NASA communications, meaning NASA news and communications, are suspended. Look how interesting. It's like this: we can't talk, then you say you can. But NASA also can't because it's suspended. Yeah, but they can so much so that they are analyzing high rise photos and posting them every day. Look how weird. Look, leave a comment if it's just us who are too suspicious. It's us who are too suspicious. I don't think so, folks. We're wearing tinfoil hats. I don't think so. And folks, a change in 3i Atlas was confirmed now. Before continuing, I'll talk about the protocol change issue. Okay, should we or shouldn't we run for the hills? Did the protocol change or not? But you can create it now here. Look, leave your like, subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos then. With so many signs, the surprise would be if 3i/Atlas were natural. That's true. The surprise is no longer if it is, although, I mean, anything that is discovered will be a surprise. To me, everything has many more signs of being artificial. That's the problem. According to Avi Loeb? No, according to Avi Loeb, it's 40% artificial and about 60% natural. But the thing is, if you're saying that one of the greatest scientists in the world is saying it's 40% artificial, it is. Avi Loeb still has to be at least a little conservative because you see that most scientists don't even dare to be as liberal as him to talk about 40%. Now, the truth is that it's easier to say it's artificial than natural. Yes. And then, with the help of artificial intelligence, because I mean, it doesn't hurt to dream, what would this camouflaged object be like? Maybe a camouflaged comet like in the image. We can dream, try to imagine what it could be like. Leave it here in the comments. How could it be Star Wars, which has sound in space? It's because in space it would actually be like this. Look. Mute, right? There would be no sound. That's the truth. Yeah, but he was inspired by George Lucas. To have sound in the air, you have to have an atmosphere there. In this case, there isn't, there would be no sound. But there would be, right? Maybe these thrusters, if it is indeed something artificial, leave it in the comments. And as you know that when I kill the snake, I show the snake. It is the IAA, the International Academy of Astronautics. It is recognized by the UN. It has a partnership with SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. And now they changed the protocol, and as you know, when I kill the snake, I show the snake. There is the document out of nowhere. Yes, there is the document. It was now October 16th in a sneaky way. There wasn't even any news about it, right? What are they saying now? The change in protocols, right? With post-detection of SETI, meaning the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. What would post-detection be? After confirmation that extraterrestrial intelligence exists, meaning alien beings or maybe an extraterrestrial artificial intelligence. Anyway, something artificial that is not human, okay? So, if this is confirmed, then we must do several things, several things. And here they are saying, right, asking scientists around the world, entities to pay attention to this, and they hadn't changed this protocol for 15 years, and now they change it, right? They change it exactly now. How many days away? For days before this Earth, Sun, and interstellar visitor 3i Atlas alignment. It's just a coincidence, folks. I'm dumbfounded here, but I think it's good. But do you know why I think it's good? Because it shows that Atlas is at least serving for humanity to open its eyes, for scientists to open their eyes and realize that this kind of thing can indeed happen. In this case, it is already confirmed by Dr. Beatriz Villarroel. For those who haven't seen it, I'll leave the card up here. It is now a scientific fact that there are things orbiting our planet, okay? This is now proven with a peer-reviewed study, even published in Nature and everything. So, there's nothing more to say, right? Artificial things are out there. It's not cool because you see that they are doing it, most scientists, at least a large part, are doing it somewhat by force, not managing to hold back from doing nothing. Something they could learn from NASA, which is an expert at this. You see that it doesn't do it, it's over, it's closed. It doesn't matter. The world is ending, no problem. It is closed. And then, folks, there was also something very interesting here, which is the following, okay? Because of this, a study came out now confirming this maneuver, which is what I'm going to tell you now. No, this I want to see. Actually, I mean, it's not confirming the maneuver, it's confirming a change, and they are speculating about a maneuver. And we are going to understand that now here. Look, first of all, this photo is starting to go viral on the internet. They are saying it is Atlas captured by a Japanese telescope. And blah blah. And I got to see this. Yeah. Okay, this right off the bat. Folks, I saw a fake news quality seal on it, false. Falser than this. Only two of this, okay? No, it's not real. There is no proof, no source, nothing, okay? And another thing, every photo that comes out of Atlas, it's roundish. I don't know. It's not this thing. No. And another thing, what telescope is this that would be able to capture this view if it is indeed an alien spacecraft? Because it could be, maybe, but even if it is, how would it capture this here and only this telescope that no one knows who operated or anything? Still waiting for high rise for the best photo. Yeah, so this is false, okay? Now they are talking about a confirmed maneuver of 3I Atlas. There are many posts on the internet talking, including people saying that its position has changed completely and everything. There are even very complex posts talking about this. The question that everyone who is watching must be asking now. After all, was there a change or wasn't there? That's the thing. A study came out, folks, that I'm going to show you here, okay? Which is let's separate the wheat from the chaff. Let's try to separate the wheat from the chaff here so you can understand what is happening and what might be happening. Because as I said, we have a good sense of humor, but we don't lose scientific rigor. Period. So let's get to the facts. The Nordic Optical Telescope, which is the Nordic telescope located in the Canary Islands, detected a change and confirmed a change in 3I Atlas. What was this change? A change from an anti-solar tail to a common tail, which would be a comet tail. It was confirmed in a scientific study that here, look, the object is here. This was in July. The thing that was pointing forward went backward. It went backward. And here we can notice this moment. Look, and it goes. Look, it becomes increasingly accentuated backward. In this case, here is the object. Look, it's going backward. But here's the thing, folks. Does this mean a change in trajectory, a maneuver, and everything? The change to make it turn backward would be another anomaly that also hasn't been observed in any other comet. But the natural explanation would be that this object is rich in CO2, meaning carbon dioxide. As it approaches the sun, sublimation increases. Before, it was ejecting a lot of H2O ice forward. But since it wasn't that close to the sun, this ended up illuminating, so it looked like a headlight pointing forward. Now it's much closer to the sun, so this H2. Oh, ice, water ice that is being ejected forward, no longer resists because the sun sort of melts it, and then larger ice or dust grains that are less volatile remain and go backward. And that creates this tail pointing B. Then here's the article. Because you know that when I kill the snake, I show the snake, okay? The studies I show here, I always leave them in the description for those who want to know more, who want to delve deeper into this subject, okay? But there it is. Now, what would be the explanation as something artificial? It is very simple. The antitail, meaning that, wait a minute, so calm down. Before, so the explanation for it being natural is more difficult and requires more detours than the explanation for it being artificial. Yes, but it will also depend on what happens later. You will understand. Uh huh. You saw the explanation as something natural. Now, as something artificial, Avi Loeb said that a friend of his, a scientist named Adam Hibbard, said that this would be highly expected for something artificial. The antitail would be a kind of braking. It would be a forward propulsion to brake. That's right, as if to brake the object. And then, as it is approaching the sun, it wants to accelerate to improve its trajectory around the sun. And then it would be an acceleration. If it is something artificial, then let's assume it is something artificial, okay? Let's go with this idea that it is something artificial. In this hypothesis, As the scientist Adam Hibbert and Avi Loeb himself said, this would be expected for an acceleration and would be expected to happen exactly at this moment. This could put this object into a heliocentric orbit, meaning around the sun, placing it stably in some orbit, for example, between Mars and Jupiter. I got worried about the story of should happen at this moment. Yeah, more or less at this moment. In other words, it happened at the exact moment it would happen if it were something planned by someone specialized in spacecraft navigation. Yeah, and Avi Loeb said something very interesting, which is, let's see what will happen to it after it passes behind the sun, because this object is now passing behind the sun. And then, what will happen next? We already have several anomalies, right? There we detected nickel with very little iron, which requires industrialization. There is a natural explanation. They made a huge maneuver to explain a material that, to us, requires fabrication. They tried to explain how, for the first time in life, we are seeing something that, to us, can only be manufactured happening naturally, okay? There are several other anomalies that I don't even need to mention. There are so many videos here on the channel that you can binge watch for a year here. Videos about 3i Atlas, okay? So, I'm still thinking about that thing. If someone calculated the orbit of this thing, they would accelerate, meaning they would turn on the rear thrusters at this moment. Yeah, more or less at this moment, to perform that maneuver where Atlas removed that trunk, that headlight that was pointing forward, meaning that it would be braking and turned on. No, it's kind of strange. The coincidences here are absurd. So, Avi Loeb said the following. He even said something that I had said. I don't know if you remember, folks, that I had said a long time ago. Let's see what will happen to this object after it passes behind the sun. If it behaves perfectly like a comet, Avi Loeb says its score will drop on the Loeb scale, where 0 is a natural object and 8 is already artificial, but without risk to Earth. 10 is artificial with risk to humanity. It's at a score of 4, according to Avi Loeb, meaning, right, somewhat almost in the middle ground there, actually, right? In other words, the moment of truth is after it comes out from behind the sun. It's after it comes out from behind the sun. If it behaves perfectly as expected for a comet, Avi Loeb said the score drops to 2. Avi Loeb said the score will never drop to 0 again, because there are already too many anomalies for you to say with 100% certainty that this is natural. In other words, we can never again say with 100% certainty, even when it goes away, that this is natural and that this was natural. We can no longer be sure of this ever again, even if today it starts to exhibit 100% the characteristics of a comet. I had already said this, and today Avi Loeb said it in his article. Look how incredible that the moment of truth is now. So, the moment of, it won't drop to 0 again. That's the truth, okay? And now that it is passing behind the sun, which is what it's doing now, it will be exposed to 33 gigawatts of energy. In other words, it seems thought out if it needs to charge its battery there or refuel in some way. And there is something very interesting happening, which is that there was this bang, this absurd explosion from the sun, okay? If there is an alien civilization, let's enter into a supposition here that can control the energy of a star. This is a lot of energy, and it's going in the direction of 3i/Atlas. Look, it looks like a boost at the right time, huh? And it was a heck of an explosion that happened on the sun, folks. We don't have access to the radiation from this explosion. The solar orbiter is not in a favorable position, but it was certainly X class, maybe double digits. In other words, possibly, according to specialists, this was an X class explosion above X10. But then we would be talking about a spacecraft above X10, very different then because for us, we would think, I would say this is damaging to a spacecraft, actually, or not. We don't know, right? This is a ton of energy. This is a ton of energy. No, if it were one of our spacecraft, we would be literally fried. But if you consider the capacity of a civilization to travel between one planet and another, and not just interplanetary, but interstellar travel, maybe they have much more energy control than we do, right? But despite everything, you know what it looks like? Even if Atlas is really artificial, to me it really looks like a probe, something that comes, look, to take a look, right? To take a look. Another thing that emerged before talking about this bazooka shot that will hit 3I slash Atlas is this. Look, a person who would be from the European Space Agency is leaking something very serious, very big, that they're hiding. It basically says the following, okay? That they detected a change in electromagnetic terms and plasma. An oscillation that is translated into sounds, in our understanding, is practically perfectly stable. And he suspects, in the case of this person here, right, who even posted their badge there, saying they work at the European Space Agency, saying that these would be fluctuations that can be attributed to an alteration. In other words, the object constantly emits a motor like sound. The data was submitted to NASA according to procedures. Anyway, this person would be, right, an employee of ESA, the European Space Agency, and a space debris engineer, analyst, space debris engineer, saying that there is a motor there, saying that it was detected that there is a pulse as if from a motor itself, which was interpreted by the agencies as a motor running. And how seriously can we take this? And that's the thing. Then he talks about this. And then he says that now, as an engineer, he no longer has access to anything. So everything is being kept secret, even from several scientists within the agencies and everything. Can this be confirmed? It can't. I would really like it to be true, an interesting leak. However, it cannot be confirmed because, first of all, he or she doesn't say their name. We can't know. Uh, was it possible to get some confidential information that can be confirmed? No, it wasn't. So it may or may not be true. It can or cannot. I will tell the truth. Although there is a very high chance that 3I Atlas is indeed an alien spacecraft, this here looks more like, I don't know, anyone can want to hype things up on the internet and say, I'm going to create something here. I know a little bit of scientific terms. I'm going to take a batch here, right, from ESA. Maybe you find it, I don't know, take a little photo, blur it here, right? In this case, he blurred it not to disclose information, maybe even to hide where you got the batch from, and then you post anything because there is no actual confirmation. And here, even if we consider the possibility, because it is factual, right, this possibility of the object being artificial, even if this is possible, there is nothing confirming anything he said. So we can't take it as the truth. Can it be true? Then let's wait for the next chapters. Let's wait for the next chapters. But that's it, folks. If more information comes out that suddenly corroborates this, and that's what's happening, right? There will be this very, very big bazooka shot. It will hit 3I slash Atlas. In fact, it is hitting 3I slash Atlas. Look how absurd. Here we have an image from LOSCO C3. Look at the size of this. In yesterday's video, I said, look, there's a big coronal mass ejection happening. Now we saw that it was really absurd, okay? It was very, very big. Here in LOSCO C2, we can see it closer. It was a lot of energy, a lot of plasma. If this came in the direction of Earth, this was calculated to be larger than the one that produced the extreme solar storm in 2024, in May 2024. Remember there were auroras all over the world? And this, folks, is a big problem for our technology. This is a big problem. This is also a trigger, according to several scientific studies. It's a scientific fact, okay? That this is a trigger for earthquakes, volcanic eruptions. It messes with our brain. This is magnetism. This is a bazooka shot. If this came in the direction of Earth, it could cause an extreme solar storm, perhaps, folks, perhaps similar to the Carrington event, which was the one where people got shocked by touching the doorknob. This is what we say. Thank goodness it went the other way. Okay, the problem is that this thing, look here, look, the face of the sun at the moment this happened. Did you notice anything? Nothing, right? Look, it went back there, look. We don't even notice it because it was on the backside. But the problem is that everything that goes comes back. Everything that goes comes back. Look here, look. This was on the backside. Here is the earth. Here is the sun, okay? Look where it went. It went backward. Here, putting 3I Atlas in the picture. 3I Atlas is this little green ball that I'm circling. Look. The little green ball. Little green ball. And look there, look. Bang. It will hit it with a shoulder. Not that much of a shoulder, but it will hit 3I slash Atlas quite hard, okay? And let's see what will happen, how 3I Atlas will behave receiving such a large bazooka shot like this. And remember I said everything that goes comes back? This was the face of the sun, okay? This is the face of the sun today. This was the face of the sun on October 15th. It was this thing here, look. It was this spot there, this active region. You can tell, right, that it was it, AR 4246. Remember I said, I warned you, folks, this is dangerous. For those who haven't seen it, I'll leave the video on the card up here. This is dangerous. It can produce a radiation explosion, a bazooka shot in the direction of Earth. Let's keep an eye out. It didn't produce one now, but as soon as it hid, it was rotating there, right? It hid from us, bang. It produced a big one, and like Schwarzenegger, it will come back. This active region will complete its transition on the far side of the sun. And in about 11 days, about 10 days, meaning more or less on November 2nd, 3rd, around there, it arrives again. It will arrive and it will pass through where? Through where? Right here, look. It will start to emerge here, look. Right here. And then it will make the transit for 2 weeks on the visible part of the sun. If it continues like this, it's a problem. It wasn't the end of anything, it was just a truce. Problem? It was just a truce. This is a problem because if it produces another one like this, it comes in the direction of Earth, and then it's a major solar storm. Basically, that's it. Until next time, I'm out. Bye.